This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Hello everyone and welcome to Young Panda with the Morning Coffee. I am having a delicious Colombian Fairtrade 100% Arabica bean coffee. You know, it comes in a bag instead of a bucket or a small plastic cup for my Keurig. I brewed it in a French press, ladies and gentlemen, and it is delicious. I typically just fart out whatever comes out of the old Keurig and just add enough cream and sugar to not taste it, but this, I've only got a little dash of sugar and a bit of cream because this Arabica coffee is so delicious. Or whatever kind of, I don't even know what's going on. I am not a coffee person. I mean, I drink coffee every day, but like not like a fancy coffee person. But French pressing a thick-ass, strong coffee like this, it's like, I get how people can drink it black, but if you're drinking Starbucks coffee black, you're not tough. It's not a toughness thing. You're just a psycho who doesn't love yourself, because that shit tastes like ass on its own. It tastes like chemicals and soap. Starbucks coffee is not good black, but this shit is good black. I had it for the first time yesterday black, and it was like, oh man, this is scrumptious, but I added a dash of sugar today and a little bit of cream just to kind of chill out some of the harsh notes, to kind of even it out, and it is delicious. Anyways, today on the morning coffee, today on Morning Coffee with the Young Panda, I am talking about the Batman. Okay, so hold on one second. Today I'm talking about The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Kravitz and Colin Farrell as Robert De Niro as the Penguin. Bro, let me just say, I don't like being a hyperbolic kind of guy. It's not my deal. It's not my bag. This is my favorite Batman movie. No questions asked. When I was in high school, The Dark Knight, the first Dark Knight came, no, not the, there was Batman Begins, but then there was The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight came out, and man, I loved it. Everyone did. If you were a boy in high school from like 2008 to 2012, The Dark Knight was your favorite movie. It was just kind of all around accepted that was the truth. It's got great performances, great characters, great acting, and just some wonderful story, and you know, that whole like order versus chaos dichotomy. It was very interesting, very well written, very fun and smart and cool. But I prefer this one, and I'm gonna get into why. And it might sound a bit cliched here, but this film really felt like a Batman comic, like like the good ones, the really good, like Dark Knight Returns, kind of like Year One, Long Halloween, whatever. The really good like Batman graphic novels. This felt just like one of those. Like from the intro, just all of those cool little like background details about the campaign and the drugs that just like sprinkled into the background, kind of like always there. So it's like, it's not the direct narrative through line of the beginning, but they're presenting it just in the back. The kid that robs the liquor store, and he's got the drop, the actual drug has a logo that's prominent enough that you can get a extremely well-crafted Halloween mask for it. I don't know where he got that from. However, it does get the point home that the drug is really popular. Then there's the street gangs, kind of like terrorizing and fucking with people with their their face paint, they're all like kind of like fucking with shit and then like looking around into the shadows to like where's the Batman gonna come from? Always kind of watching their back, nervous about everything they're doing. It was so Batman. It was so Batman comic. It was so cool. It felt awesome, and that was the best intro they could have had, because you're just settling in the movie theater, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go. This is the Batman that never has really made it to the full screen, because the 80s Batman had the style, but it didn't have the grit. It was really cartoony. And then, you know, it just got cartoonier and cartoonier from the first one. And then you had the Nolan Batmans, which were, you know, great, but they lacked the style and feel and tone of a really good Batman comic. It definitely goes for that more Nolan-y, clean shine, and you know, it's far more about the ideas than the feel or the atmosphere. So the tone really is the star of the fucking show here. I loved this like dark, broody, like sort of like Seven, the movie Seven, murder mystery, with this like heavy, nice coating of that comic booky cheese, where everything is written to not be realistic, but to get the points across quickly. It feels like you're in a different world. It doesn't feel like the real world. It feels comic booky and a little cartoony, but in that way of like, not like child cartoony, but like adult, dark, twisted fantasy in a different world. It doesn't feel like Earth. It doesn't feel like you're dealing with real people, but it's also in a lot of other ways super grounded in reality. So in ways it's more realistic than Nolan's Batmans, while being way less realistic than Nolan's Batman. So like the tone and the setting are less realistic with those more like gothic and comic elements, but Batman himself and his gear and his tech and his costume and presentation and personality are all far more realistic. Like, he's clearly wealthy, but he doesn't have that cartoonish level of futuristic tech like the Nolan Batman does. He doesn't have a Batmobile that's a mega speed tank / transforming motorcycle. It's just a souped up muscle car. Like, it's a car. The Batmobile isn't some crazy other vehicle that we've never seen before. It's a car. It's a cool car. It's a really fucking badass car that it's really just looks like an 80s muscle car. That was another thing that was really interesting. They didn't really pin down a decade of it taking place. There was some like newer stuff like the HD TVs, but then there was like some older stuff like really old looking computers, and it just didn't have a real like time. This is why it kind of added to that sense of reality detachment, because it didn't really attach you to like a certain decade or a certain feel. It was all kind of like ambiguous about when and where, or not where, but when it took place. It takes place in Gotham. That's the where. That's not really a question. But you know, Batman's got this souped up muscle car. And it's got this engine in the front that glows red, and you don't know what's going on in there, but you know that it's super fucking powerful, and he's gunning it and like losing control and like crashing. It's, in that respect, like things like that, like the way things play out had a lot of realism. Like I loved when Batman is escaping the, I can't remember where he's about to fly in his bat suit, flying squirrel outfit, and he's escaping, and like he bumps and crashes, and it feels like it's panicked and it's uncoordinated, but yeah, it's panicked and uncoordinated. He's escaping from being shot at. Like, all he has to do is survive, not look cool, and land in a cool way. He crashes, and it's dramatic because he feels like a human being. Christian Bale's Batman didn't feel like a human being. He felt like a super person, you know? That's the coolest thing about it. Batman feels like a real person in this. A lot of the Bruce Waynes before were like charming socialites who have to strike a balance between their genuine social life and being the Dark Knight. In reality, if someone was so traumatized by their parents being killed in front of them that they strove to go get revenge on all of crime at night with a mask on, they'd be an absolute damaged wreck that, you know, likely wouldn't have the mental fortitude to maintain a cool face in public like Nolan's Bruce Wayne. Let alone be like genuinely invested in their secret identity's life, like in, you know, the animated series or a lot of other Batmans. It's like he's playing with the dichotomy between those two lives. Not in this one. He's really, Bruce Wayne is just a necessary coverall for when he goes outside. It is not a persona that has engaged with the public in any meaningful way. He's an emo recluse with serious emotional mental trauma that is processing it by going out and beating people up at night. And he's getting, I think that also kind of like recontextualizes Alfred's character, because Alfred is typically like, oh, the quiet helper of the heroic great guy. But in this, Alfred kind of feels like a dangerous enabler. I mean, he totally works. He's still sympathetic, and I love the character. And I love Andy Serkis's portrayal of him. I thought that was great. It was a really cool, like, different take on him. But it did kind of feel like, why are you letting him do this? He's clearly damaged. How much is he actually helping? That was an aspect that was really interesting, where it didn't really feel like Batman could do much. Gotham is such a crime-ridden place that it doesn't feel like he's actually able to assist and change things in the world. It feels more like he's trying to stop a flood with his hands. God, that's a good fucking cup of coffee, man. It does feel sort of hopeless until the end, which is awesome, because yeah, I had that whole vibe where I almost thought it was like, maybe this is a flaw in the writing, but then I see that it's the point of the overall thing. It's like, he's out getting revenge for his parents the whole movie. That's his thing. I am vengeance. I'm mad because you killed my dad, kind of guy. Instead of the hero, the sign of hope. So that's what this movie's about, is him becoming the sign of hope from a traumatized weirdo beating people up. I loved whenever Batman would enter a room and everyone would be like, oh, what the fuck is that guy doing? Not even so much being really antagonistic towards him, more just like being really uncomfortable, because this is a weirdo that the chief has brought in. Lieutenant Gordon has brought in an insane man. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gordon has brought in an insane man who beats people up at night, this notorious vigilante that we're all trying to stop. He's in here detecting. What the fuck, Gordon? Like, it's such an appropriate response to what that actually is. It was great. So yeah, all of the character work was good. The bit parts, yeah, but also, I mean, the main characters. Batman, obviously. I loved Commissioner Gordon in this. He reminded me of Bunk from The Wire. Like, so if you watch The Wire, Bunk is like this kind of like cool shit talker, but on the inside, you realize his past was he grew up in Baltimore along with all of the gang members that are in the show. And like, he was a dweeb, he was a dork, and nobody liked him because they were all running around doing their cool shit. He was on the sidelines, and he ended up joining the police. But you can tell there's a little like rejection in him from the world. But Gordon, he does feel like sort of an outcast in his own precinct. He feels like someone that is too like steadfast and rigid about his beliefs that he's not willing to compromise them. And for that reason, his crew of police officers have kind of pushed him to the side, and they're all kind of like, you know, cool cops who also might be corrupt. And he's literally tells Batman, you are the only one that I trust. I trust you. These cops will not give a shit if it benefits them personally. Am I the only good cop left? Type of guy. They did characterize him very well, because that doesn't make someone like cool. He feels like a nerd, like a dork. It's great. I liked it. I loved Catwoman in this. This is the first time Catwoman has been like really like sexual. I feel like Anne Hathaway Catwoman is like kitty Catwoman, like meow, like a kindergarten teacher wearing a cat sweater. That was more what she brought. And you know, Halle Berry is very attractive, but I don't know, she's just not a good actress at all. Zoe Kravitz really, I think, captured the essence of Catwoman better than anyone I've pretty much ever seen. Pure sexuality, but it's 100% a tool she utilizes to influence her own decisions. At her heart, she's a very caring person. I love the line where Batman is just like, you got a lot of cats. Like, it's so like, it's funny because that's actually like him being honest about his opinion to someone. That means he does trust her. It's a weird little thing to just be a characterization thing, but I really think that's what it is. He's like, you got a lot of cats. That means he is dropping the business thing just to make a banal observation about her life. And she hits him back with, I got a thing about strays. And, you know, she took in one of the workers from the club to try to take care of her, who was, you know, eventually killed. So she does have a thing about strays. But it also connects back to Batman. So he's really saying, I think I can trust you enough to just talk to you. And then she's saying, good, because I think I can get into you as well. You know? Because he's technically the stray at her doorstep. I don't know. I think that really worked. I thought that was a really smart little bit of writing. Little dialogue that hinted at a bit more characterization happening between the two of them. This is just really good, you know? I like that a lot. Alfred. Yes, again, Alfred is good. I just wish we would have had him a little more. A little more time with Alfred would have been good. You know, I was pretty emotional at his scene where he got hurt, but you could have gotten a little more out of me. The Penguin, obviously, Colin Farrell playing De Niro playing the Penguin. I loved him so much every minute he was on screen. It was like, I love this man. I love a good fake Italian impression. I love making fun of Italian people. I mean, I love the Italian accent. I love Sopranos. I love The Godfather. I love Italians. They're great. I mean, I never really met too many Italians in my life, so that's probably racism. But hey, gabagoo, fuck you. That's bad. If you're Italian, I'm sorry. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like an anti-Italophobia group that was really upset by Colin Farrell's portrayal, because it is totally Robert De Niro. I loved it so much. There was one thing when the car chase comes to an end and the Penguin thinks he's won. He goes full De Niro and he's like, "Yeah, I got you, huh? Got you, you psycho!" I was really waiting for that, for him to go, "I got you, you motherfucker!" I was really hoping for that. I wanted it pretty bad, but I don't know. We can't get everything we want, guys. This is a part of acceptance of life. We have to say, you know, I got what I got. I think it was PG-13 movie. So, yeah, I couldn't get motherfucker. I couldn't get much gore. But I think it worked for it. The PG-13 rating, I did think, it helped it be gothic without being grotesque. I think a little gore might have kind of pushed it over the edge and made it a little less palatable. In a weird turn of events, the performance I liked the least was Paul Dano as the Riddler. When I heard that, I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be so tight. But he wasn't disappointing. I think the Riddler has always been a cackling, crazy Jim Carrey character, so they needed him to go up to that level very often. I just don't think it really worked for me. It was like the Riddler itself wasn't comically over the top, but Paul Dano was acting like it, so it was like he was trying to act like a crazy serial killer, and it never felt realistic. It just kind of felt a little cringe whenever he would start yelling and like kind of like almost like singing. Oh, he did sing at one point. It just didn't quite work. I guess it's fine. Maybe I'll like it a little more on second watch, but I wasn't expecting it, and I was a little disappointed because that was the part I was excited the most for the Riddler. I bought a pop. I bought a fucking Funko Pop. It's on my shelf, thinking like if I like the movie, then I can keep it because I'm probably gonna like the Riddler. And if I don't like the movie, I can sell it because it'll probably get popular and go up in value. Neither of those things really happened. I loved the movie. Didn't really like the Riddler that much. Don't really want to pop because it's not my favorite character in the movie. I'd rather have a Catwoman, if I'm being honest. It's not going up in value at all. It is still like $11 online. So looks like I'm keeping that, and I'm just going to put it in a less ostentatious space to draw a little attention. I guess it's fine. He's a cool character. I really enjoyed the Zodiac-y crime riddle stuff. I liked that a lot. I loved the tracking of the murderer and him dropping clues. I've always loved like a scavenger hunt kind of movie, you know? But yeah, I guess we can get into some critiques. I do have a few. They're pretty minor. I think they more come into the issues with Batman as a whole. Like, the Riddler, honestly, at the beginning felt like a good guy. You know, he's taking out the scum and villainy of the world. He's killing corrupt political officials. That is so nice. You know, it felt like he was going to be, okay, this guy's crazy, but he's out for improving the world, at least. And you can kind of get that Punisher versus Daredevil sort of like, oh, well, all you do is put them back in jail. All you do is, you know, keep the cycle going. You're defending the corrupt at the top while punishing the poor people on the bottom. I really thought it was going to go that direction, and I'm like, that's interesting, because that is the core problem with Batman as a character. The whole city's corrupt, and yet he goes and really attacks people who are scrounging to survive on the bottom. And it'd be interesting to have a villain that's sort of like the representative of the poor. But we didn't really get that. He turned into a psycho murderer who actually just wanted to flood Gotham and kill a bunch of innocent people. I thought he was killing the least innocent people. So there's a bit of switch in character, but again, that's an issue with Batman because you can't actually start poking holes in that, you know, core tapestry of what the character is. The character is a light of shining goodness in a world of dark, and the poor people on the bottom are the dark. So politically, I don't know, but you know, maybe they were just like, you know, let's not get into it. Let's make a fun Batman movie. Let's not anger the politics people, which, you know, was probably a good idea. I just noticed that there seemed to be a change in the Riddler's plan. It seemed like the Riddler's plan was to unmask all of the horrible shit, kill a bunch of people, and then make the world a better place because of it. But it was more like, yeah, I am vengeance was the thing. I just want to get revenge on the people that hurt me, and then just, you know, maybe kill a bunch of innocent people that had nothing to do with it anyway. So yeah, that was one little critique. And I would have liked more time with Bruce and Alfred. There's a lot of movie. It's 3 hours. I get that they couldn't put everything, but if they were to put anything else, I would have liked more Bruce and Alfred time, because Bruce was a really interesting character, and it felt like we only got a little drops of characterization, enough to make it work, but not so much that I felt I didn't feel necessarily fully satisfied with the amount of Bruce Wayne I got, or the amount of Bruce Wayne and Alfred connecting and being like a family. I would honestly take a 3.5 hour director's cut of this. I liked it that much. I could totally watch a 3.5 hour director's cut at home, in my own chair, with no one eating popcorn, including me. I'm not allowed to eat popcorn, giving me a bellyache. But yeah, beautiful cinematography. Fantastic. Loved it. Loved all the dark red and black. And there's a lot of like cool backlit shots where people were just like dark silhouettes among like a ring of light in another dark area. So it had a really cool style. It was super unique. They clearly knew what they wanted to do, and they knew what to make it. The music was great. I forget the guy's name. Giacelli? Michael Giannabupi or something like that. Italian guy. he did the music for a lot of Pixar movies, Ratatouille and The Incredibles. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I was like listening to the Batman soundtrack like all month in anticipation, and it totally was awesome. And it was in the movie, and I'm like, yep, this is all appropriate and good, and I know everything. Bah, 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 bah. yeah, that shit really hit. It was emotional, but dark and hopeful. That was the cool shit. Anyways, yeah. It's my new favorite Batman. Maybe my new favorite superhero film. I guess I have to rewatch Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But yeah, definitely an excellent film. 9 out of 10. That's my ranking. Thank you all for dropping by. I appreciate you. You know, I've had to accept this channel's probably never going to blow up. I had to accept that really this is going to be a hobby of mine and an outlet for all of the shit that I want to talk about that my wife is tired of hearing, so that I can express myself properly and feel good throughout my life. And if I have a gaggle of, you know, the 200 of you or so that continue to watch these and are always supportive and want to see new stuff, you know, thanks, man. Really appreciate you. Just getting that little bit of, like, this was good, or just communicating with me, I don't know, it feels good, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for dropping by. I'll see you next time I have something to talk about, because this is probably the format I'm going to stick to for a bit, because I feel like I can make it work. So, love ya. Have a good day.